When you think of tabletop role-playing games, what do you think of? Dungeons and Dragons? Maybe Call of Cthulhu? What if I told you that there was a game that takes place within an MMO? In today's video, I'll be going over the tabletop RPG that you've never played, as well as some of the aspects of it. That game is called Infinite Generation, and it takes place within the world of one, set in the dothack universe. In 2003, CyberConnect 2 developed a tabletop RPG known as dothack, Infinite Generation. Published for the first time in dothack's The World's Magazine 2nd edition, this game will take various concepts and mechanics from the first set of dothack video games known as IMOC and convert them into a simplified version that relied on a 6-sided die to determine things like monsters, events, and even when skills can be activated in battle. There was an expansion that was released within the 3rd edition of the magazine that included things like rare items, more classes, even a new route town. It was never released outside of Japan, and most people won't even get to hear about Infinite Generation until many years later. That being said, there is a fan translation of this game. I'll post a link down below. Whoever did the translation work for this, thank you very much. You did an awesome job. I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons for about 7 or so years using 5e and 3.5 editions. Does this game translate well to a tabletop system? I am pretty optimistic, as some of the playtesting that I've done, there's a lot that can be used here. There's a lot of infinite, well, possibilities with a system like this. But just because something works on paper doesn't mean that in execution it could work. As I go over this game, I'll be paraphrasing a lot of the rules and mechanics so that way this video doesn't take an hour long to watch. So with that in mind, I'll try my best to summarize it. Before the game begins, a group of 3 to 5 players create their character from one of 7 classes, each of which have 2 variations. Each class has its own set of talents assigned to a die roll, as well as a role that a player can choose to give the number 2 slot on the die, ability based on the character's die roll. You have the Heavy Axeman, who has a lot of HP, and the Wave Master, who has a lot of SP. Each one is balanced, with a total HP and SP of 130 split between the two. There's also a friendship component, which is a point system that increases the more you play with those other players. After accumulating enough points, you could use them to form a relationship, which grants numerous passives such as the ability to restore more health or do more damage. Friendship points are earned by rolling the same number as another player. The game always begins in Makanu. Each time a player enters a root town, an event is triggered for that player. You can also choose who will help who in their own sub-events within Root Town. Following that, you roll for the Root Town event table. You can leave the Root Town quest and go to the dungeon at any time. You can then go to the adventure in the dungeon once everyone's events have either been quit or completed. When all players agree to go to the dungeon, they must then determine which server's dungeon they attempt to clear. Clearing different server dungeons grants you various amounts of friendship. Each server's dungeon has a varied number of rooms. As the players enter a room for the first time, they roll for the dungeon event table. After that event is cleared, you proceed to the next room and roll for the dungeon event table once again, until the last room's event is cleared. One of these events is magic portals that summon monsters. Monsters that may appear range from as simple as a couple of goblins to as formidable as the Guardian. If you're not careful, these guys can one-shot your players. Each PC rolls a d6. Damage is calculated by multiplying your roll by 10, but each player's roll is calculated separately. You can then assign damage to monsters at any point, or you could use a skill. After rolling your d6 on your turn, if you did not roll a 1, you could use a skill linked with that number you rolled by spending 10 SP. For example, if you are a Twin Blade and roll a 3, you can use the skill Saber Dance with 10 SP. When you use a skill, your standard roll damage for that turn is not calculated. If any PC rolls a 1 on their turn, every attack they make on that turn fails. Monsters can still do damage to you, and the monster's attack cannot fail. Even if attack fails, you can still use skills. This game contains a lot of concepts and ideas that you don't see in recent tabletop games, especially ones from 2003. I enjoy the D6 system for attacks and skills because of its simplicity, and I believe it is its strongest feature, combined with the French mechanic and promoting roleplay among the players. My main beef with this type of game is the manner it is played. It's wonderful for one-shot games, quick games, probably no more than maybe 2 to 3 hours. But it lacks the longevity to support a complete campaign in this setting. Not to mention, because of their enormous damage output, some foes can easily defeat your players, and it's even worse if you choose a Wave Master with low HP. Playing through this game has definitely spurred some thoughts. And what follows is why there hasn't been a new dothack video here as of late. Along with researching this game, I've been working on an Infinite Generation revision too. I took this simple game and expanded it to almost 70 pages across 3 documents, as well as updated it. IGR2 transforms the classes, races, and locales from GU into what I call a tabletop massive multiplayer game. It contains the D6 system from this original Infinite Generation with some unique changes, such as the ability to level up and upgrade that D6 to eventually a D12. There's also the keyword system for one-shot adventures in the world, which the players and the DM can customize to make it easy or as tough as they desire. As I continue to improve the game, I will include skill assignments on the dive, raid bosses from quests, and perhaps a Lucky Animal Collection event. If you're looking for the original game or my new upgraded system, you may find them in my Discord under the TTRPG section, or in dothack Network's Discord under the same tab. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope all of you fantastic people stay classy, stay beautiful, and don't forget to like and subscribe, of course. Until then, guys, have a good one.